So many of you know I am a Red Cross disaster volunteer. I was working at a shelter on Wednesday. It is now Friday, December 8th. And I just wanted to give you, some of you have asked me to give any sort of update. This is as of the morning of December, about noon on December 8th. So I'll give you some statistics here. This is coming from the Red Cross, and I'll give you some ways to help out if you'd like to do that. So roughly 2,000 people face evacuation orders. New fires have sparked in San Diego and Riverside on Thursday, and the Thomas fire continues to grow. The fires have already destroyed 430 homes and are threatening as many as 25,000 additional homes, with currently 7 fires burning. More than 140,000 acres have been destroyed. Local power, water, transportation, and communication infrastructures are being threatened by the fires and impacted for counties with a total population of more than 14 million people. The governor, Jerry Brown, has declared this a state of emergency. So some of you have asked, like, Graham, what does the Red Cross do? And I know many of you have said, like, I've read this article that, you know, the Red Cross is, some of the high ups have taken their money, and as I've said before, I'll say it again. I work on the disaster level and now the public affairs level, and all I'm seeing is how it's helping people. So I don't know how the higher, I'm not in the the upper management level of the Red Cross, but I can tell you firsthand, I was at a shelter and that was helping people that had been evacuated. And it's pretty, how they're helping people is something that it's a good thing. And this is where, if you're like, I'm donating to the American Red Cross. So if you go to redcross.org, what is my money doing? Where does my money go? Here's what it's going to do. So overnight, so last night, December 7th, there was over 615 people went to, that had to be evacuated from the fires, to 13 Red Cross and community shelters. Hundreds more visited the shelters during the day for supplies and information. And what people get when they come to a Red Cross shelter, they get hot meals, they get information, they can connect with friends and family, because some people had to evacuate quickly and they just like grabbed a bag and jumped in their car. They're also, Red Cross volunteers are providing, there's mental health people there on site. There is nurses on site. So if anyone is having any sort of minor medical stuff, if they're having a severe medical thing, then they're taken to a hospital. So you're providing food, blankets. Some people are showing up just with the clothes on their back, showers. You got to understand, if you had to just leave your home very quickly, these evacuations came quick. Some people were telling me stories like, boom, boom, boom. At 5 in the morning, the fire department was like, get out. You got to go. So, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Everyone's like, is my home safe? Is my area? What can I do? Can I go in there? And one of the things that Red Cross does, we get the information from the Los Angeles Police and Fire Department, so we can then update people on what areas are still closed, what areas are open, and give them the best, most updated information. Because what happens is in a disaster, there's crazy information going all over the place, and people are hearing this and seeing something on the news and whatever else. And then another thing that happens, the media shows up and they want to get information, and we can tell, because some people are like, show up, they want to go up to their local shelter and give clothes and all this stuff, and that's a really hard thing to do. The thing that people really need is food and water, and then other organizations like the Red Cross doesn't give people clothing and stuff like that, give them vouchers if they lose their home and all that other stuff. So I got to watch this firsthand and be a part of it. I've been a Red Cross volunteer for 16 years, so this is what is currently happening with these 7 fires. I'll give you some more information. All the services that the Red Cross provide are completely free. Anyone that shows up at the shelter gets help. So nobody's denied because of race or religion or ethnicity or gender or politics or whatever. You get help. Also, there was some people were asking, you know, can, like ICE, come into a Red Cross shelter? No, they can't. The cops can't even come in unless we give them permission. So there were people who, you know, may or may not had undocumented members of their family, and were they safe? Yeah, they absolutely are safe. So, and the Red Cross is almost exclusively funded by donations from the American public. They get a little bit of grant money, but for the most part, it's donations. They are not they're not a government agency. They are a separate non-for-profit organization. So I know some people are always wondering, is the Red Cross part of? Nope, they're their own organization, and they work in conjunction with local police and fire departments and stuff like that. So if you want to help, to donate, the best thing you could do is go to redcross.org. You can also call 1-800-RED-CROSS or text the word Red Cross to 90999 and make a $10 donation. I'll put all this information in the show notes. And so going back to the in-kind donations, people want to show up with like baked food and stuff like that. While that is so sweet and nice, the Red Cross has to operate a shelter like a restaurant or a feeding facility. So it has to do OSHA. And so if it's homemade food, they can't accept it, and they can't give it to the client staying in the shelter. So if you bring packaged, like store-bought cookies or whatever, they can accept that. Showing up with clothes and shoes and all, the Red Cross can't handle that. That's why the best thing to do is to donate those to other organizations like maybe the Goodwill or any other organizations that are currently accepting clothing, but the Red Cross doesn't do that, and showing up at a shelter actually can cause kind of a problem. So the best thing to do is to show up with either bottled water, you know, prepackaged food, or just make a financial donation to all the things I said before. And with an emergency like this, if you're in the Southern California area, it's changing every day and multiple times throughout the day. So which shelters are open and which ones. Sometimes a shelter has to be moved if the fire changes, or maybe that area gets taken care of. So they just, people are allowed back into their homes, so there's no need for the shelter anymore. So they'll close the shelter down, but they will never put anybody out in the streets. The Red Cross will keep the shelters open until the very last person. And if there's only one person, they'll take care of that person. No one's going to be left out on the street, basically. So go to redcross.org, and you can find out exactly, if you're in Southern California, where the current shelters are, and that gives you the most updated information. So also, if you have friends or family that maybe are in the impacted areas and you don't know where they're at, and maybe they're staying in a shelter, everybody gets registered at the shelter. So if you go to redcross.org/safeandwell, what it does is the site allows individuals and organizations to register and post messages to indicate that they are safe, or to search for loved ones. The site is always available, open to the public, and available in Spanish. Registrations and searches can be done directly on the website. They can also be completed by texting SAFE, S-A-F-E, to 78876. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the show. Many of you were asking me to update you on the fire situation in Los Angeles as of 2:40 p.m. on Friday, December 8th. This is the information. And of course, if you're watching this later, go to redcross.org. Thank you so much for watching.